Hello and welcome back to the updated minion build. As you can see, we're doing a lot more damage. The minions have no issues surviving in dungeons 14 to 16 levels above me, probably higher, I just didn't have the keys to test it. We will go over everything again, I'll point out any changes, after which we can go more in depth on playstyle, affixes you want to avoid on the dungeons, and I'll answer all the questions from the first video as well. But first, let's go over the build for people who don't want to stick around too long. We'll also have some more clips at the end because I spent a lot of time recording in the last few days. So without further ado, let's get into it. Skill wise, we have no changes. We're still using Bone Splinter, at least I am, because if you want to try Hemorrhage, I did. I personally don't like the playstyle, but it does have more lucky hit chance, which we need. If you want to try Hemorrhage and use it, just use the attack speed passive so you can cast it more often. We don't really need the Fortify, we're gonna have that up all the time from the Blood Orbs. On the core skills, we're just taking Hued Flesh. We're getting Blood Mist with only the first passive and Corpse Explosion with the bottom passive. Obviously anything minion related. We want Fueled by Death as well. This works well with the third Paragon page I'm going to be showing you in a second. On the curse side, again, everything except Iron Maiden with the top passive for the Crepify for reduced cooldown. That combined with this passive will mean that Blood Mist will be up all the time and keeping you alive. Nothing from corpses except this passive that grants us Fortify as well. From ultimate skills, we're taking everything minion related, with the least priority again being the golem. He's not there for much, he just increases our damage and keeps us alive, with the key passives for minions. That's mostly it for skills. It's not very complicated as I said last time. So let's head over to the items where we actually have some changes. On the item side, we actually have some changes, but first, for everybody who's new, stat-wise, the things we care about are minion attack speed. You can get that on the rings and offhand, but we will not be using an offhand, so rings. You want damage with summoning. Let's see where that is. It's right here. I found that on the chest and on the amulet. Everything else is from Paragon and skills. The other main thing you want is minion life. We want to play minions. This is a minion build. I don't want to do damage with Bone Spear or something else. This is about the minions. So you want minion life. You can find that on the armor, on the pants, and on the rings, as well as the offhand. But again, we should not be using a shield or anything else on the offhand. The other stat you really want is lucky hit chance, but only if you have the unique ring here. If you don't have that, you don't really care about the lucky hit chance, so don't focus on that until you get the ring. On the actual items, we're spawning blood orbs on the helmet. You want intellect, max HP, damage for 4 seconds after picking up a blood orb, and willpower also helps because we need in a Paragon board. The armor is one of the items that has changed. This has lowered our minion HP by a bit, but in exchange we get physical damage and summoning skill damage. We're spawning 2 extra skeletons on the armor. For the gloves, we want a unique howl from below. You'll get a lot of these, at least I've gotten a lot of these. The main stat you want to roll high on it is like a hit chance. You don't care about the damage of the corpse explosion. That's only going to help you in the beginning if you're just leveling up and your minions are still not doing any damage. But once you have the gloves and the ring and most of the damage from the Paragon board, you don't really care about the corpse explosion damage. You want the lucky hit chance as high as you can. For the pants, we're reducing the damage our minions take if we have more than 7 minions, and we have 11. You want maximum minion life, obviously. This is like the main stat on the pants. Then maximum life for yourself. Corpse explosion, always nice. I currently have armor on it. I have to keep rolling on the pants. Maybe there's something better. It just got too expensive at one point that I was really running out of gold, so I'll keep rolling on the bands. For the boots, we're summoning 2 extra mages. You want intellect, movement speed. You really need the movement speed because we only have blood mist to survive and that's it. Willpower again for the Paragon board. If you can find some other stat that's useful on the boots, just take that. I can also recommend evade granting movement speed, helps a lot, especially with the butcher. It helps you spin him in a circle. That's the strategy we're using on the minions. You just move in a circle and the minions will kill him eventually. For the weapon, we're using a two-handed scythe. Try to get things that help: damage to slowed enemies, damage to distant enemies, intellect, crowd control, critical strike, and things like that. Very important for the build, we want minion attack speed as high as you can get it on the two-handed weapon. I know some of the crits look nice, but actually most of the damage comes from the minions attacking a lot and doing pretty high damage. On the amulet, I'm using deal more damage for each second you stand still. Now, as somebody pointed out as well, this is not ideal. I just didn't have a good enough roll to put it on something else. I'm actually missing this legendary passive for some reason, so I just couldn't move it. If you find something else that's more useful that you can move, you can like always get an extra mage or move the extra skeleton damage from the ring to the amulet and just change these 2 legendary passives. I believe the amulet, yes, the amulet also changed. We have summoning skill damage, we have dexterity, we have intellect percent, both of them, and 15% damage. This is great. This also increased the damage by a lot. This is one of the main reasons I was starting to make the second video, but then we got this ring when I was done filming, so I had to start filming again. Our previous ring looked like this. It was sacred because I got it earlier, but you can see a difference here, and that really matters a lot. We have 13,000 damage on the explosion when it procs from lucky hit compared to like 9,000, and it's physical damage, so that's where the physical damage from the armor comes in as well. For people who don't know the ring, it's the Ring of Mandel. It doesn't drop a lot. These are the only 2 pieces I have gotten so far. Maybe you're luckier, but just keep trying, go as high as you can in the dungeons. Some people might say it's not important. I've just had better luck the higher I went. So I've gotten items like this ring. I've gotten the one-handed scythe. I don't have it in my hand. It's not good for us, but might be good for other builds. It was the first time I got it because I was doing a 40 free dungeon. So try to go higher if you can't find items. The ring comes again with what it comes. It's a unique, it has lucky hit chance. We need that. Try to get that as high as you can. Minion attack speed, minion maximum life, and thorns. We don't care about thorns, but that's the item. For the ring, we're using your skeletons gain more damage the longer they're alive. They're gonna be alive all the time. They almost never die. But as I said, try to move this on the amulet if you have good rolls. But before you do that, make sure you have a really good roll on the increased damage. Try to get it to like 9%, 10%. Anything below that, you would have to stand still too long. If you're doing low level dungeons, that's fine. If you're not in danger, that's fine. If you're pushing like 14 levels above or more like I'm doing, you really can't afford to stay still for too long. I just enjoy this more right now. It helps me move, but you can choose. Overall, this would be a damage increase. This is just more for my playstyle. For the second win, we have critical strike chance, physical damage, lucky hit chance, and maximum minion life. Again, we need absolutely everything. So these are mostly the stats you want, especially on the ring. I guess attack speed could have come in here somewhere, but it's up to you if you want to change critical strike chance for me attack speed. I'm not sure if it caps at some point and it There's just too much minion attack speed. That is mostly it for the items. As a playstyle, again, we're using Corpse Explosion a lot in order to proc lucky hits up the ring, and that's where the 100,000 to 100,000 damage comes from the mages doing their critical hits on this skill. This is also an explosion, so it does AoE, and that's how packs of elites melt as well. Let's get into the Paragon. Alright, on the Paragon side, you are starting down here. Just go to the right and get extra damage and head towards the first glyph. You want to use mage for this one. When you first start doing dungeons, just find the mage rune, start leveling this up. You don't want all the extra points yet. You want to go directly up, get even more damage, and start heading towards the second page where you want the cult leader. You get up, you go left, you get the cult leader. This gives us more damage for each minion type, so skeletal warrior, mages, and golem. Another reason to have the golem there. It's 45% damage total, so that's really helpful for the minions. After that, you go left, get more HP, more armor. You don't need the small armor nodes, useless. The minions survive well enough as it is, and 4% not that important anyway. You go back. At this point, after you reach the cult leader, you're probably close enough that you want to stop leveling your mage rune and just start leveling this rune, the Dead Razor. You need to get this to 15 and then you stop and go back to mage and max out mage. So we're heading up, we're getting more stuff for the skeletal warriors, we're getting more damage and attack speed and the bonus because we're gonna have a lot of intellect from the items. Then you want to go right, just take all of these as well for the minion attack speed and damage. You want to go right towards the rune, get your Dead Razor in here, get it to 15 levels so it has a bigger range as well. Then depending on where you are with your build, if your minions are dying too often, go right first so you can get damage reduction. If they're not doing enough damage, go higher to get the extra damage, but eventually you want both of them, so you get the rune and then these two. After that, you're heading back, you're going left, and you're getting the skeletal mage damage. You just want the damage, you have no option, you have to get one of the resist all elements. Just pick one and head into the main node. I recommend the top one so you can get the extra damage easier. When you're done with this, you want to head for the third page, and this is one of the new things we have on the build. We went for the Flesh Eater. After consuming 5 corpses, you get 40% more damage for 6 seconds. There's corpses everywhere. You're gonna have this up all the time. When you first get in here, you want to go up. You want to get this main node here. Now, after you got this, add your next 2 points up here in damage to injured enemies and critical strike damage, and then start going down. You want critical strike damage as well, so you start going down, and then when you're close enough, you can remove these two and head on to the main one. Just don't waste your points. Like if you just use these two here, you're gonna have willpower and dexterity. Might as well keep them up here, keep going, and when you're close enough, remove them and get to this. After that, you want to go up, you're going down, getting increased damage to elites. You're getting the side elite points as well, and then you want the control rune as the third rune. This is the best one I found so far. I think I've already maxed it out, but I don't have the intellect yet. So if you're ahead of me, just start getting intellect points around the node here to activate the second passive as well. Alright, let's move on. For the Book of the Dead, we are using the Reapers. We want them spawning corpses. We need these for everything, and we get 45 every time they summon corpses as well. We are using cold mages with apply vulnerable and chill, and they can freeze elites as well, so these work well for now. I might try shadow eventually, but for now I prefer this, and it works with the rune and the third Paragon page as well. The golem reduce our damage taken, and obviously we need the golem for 15% more damage. that is kind of it for the Book of the Dead. Nothing fancy, just Reapers all the way, second on Cold Mages, and first on Blood Golem. Alright, now for some questions regarding the build. That's the main question. I will try to make it tomorrow, and I'll post a pinned comment on the video when it's done. So just come back in a day or so. If not by the weekend, it should be up. Somebody was asking as well about the Ring of Mandeln, if it can drop in World Tier 3. I did get it in World Tier 3, I'm pretty sure. I was still spamming some dungeons there. It was a Tier 18 or 19 dungeon. I'm pretty sure something like that. That's where I started getting more uniques. Regarding changing skills, somebody was asking about Army of the Dead. You can try this. You can replace this main skill here. This is the only thing you can actually change on the build. So if you want to try Army of the Dead, sure, go ahead. You're gonna have good cooldown on it, but I just didn't find the playstyle too enjoyable. I guess something else you could use, since you do have a lot of essence and don't really use too much of it. You could try Blight with increasing the damage of your minions. But again, this is preference. The build is not at its absolute maximum. I do have some things that I just personally enjoy as a playstyle to make it fun. I can't spam this hours a day if it's not, enjoyable. So if something else works for you, you can try other skills like Blight or Army of the Dead, or even Bone Spear, but it's kind of expensive on the cost there, and I believe we only have 1 point in corpse generation here. But again, this is the build I'm using. It's working well for me, and clearly you can see the damage. But if the playstyle isn't quite perfect for you, just do some changes. You can take some points out of the golem and put them into more essence, and then maybe you can spam one of the core skills as well. Other things that I would recommend on the keys as well. Personally, for example, I don't like doing the shades following you, because that purple dot is so small and the screen is so full with minions and explosions and monsters and corpses. I almost never see it, so I don't do that. But that's just my preference. What you do want to avoid, because the build is kind of weak against it, where is it? I probably threw them all away. You want to avoid suppressed, and that's because your main damage from the minions is coming from the mages. The warriors are doing damage as well on the explosion as well, but not that much. So with suppressor, the mages can't hit inside, and what you have to do if you really want to nuke the target faster is move through the elite pack, get behind them, so the mages come into the bubble and then they attack as well. It's just more time consuming. It's not, you're not gonna die, or the skeletons are not gonna die, but it's more annoying. It takes longer. I don't recommend doing suppressor, because wasting a bit of your time there. Other things, as I said earlier, on the butcher, when you find them, just try to get as far as you can from other mobs, because the skeletons are stupid, incredibly stupid. If you're fighting a boss and they see one small ad with a knife, they're all gonna jump on them. So get the butcher away from everything else, start spinning in a circle, just going like this. Don't go too far, because he's gonna charge you. Cast your blood mist on cooldown. Whenever he's not close to you, just get some explosions onto him, get a curse on him from time to time, and just keep him in a circle and he's gonna die. As I said, I'm gonna leave you with some clips in the ending. Hope you enjoyed the guide. If you have any feedback or questions, leave them down in the comments and I'll answer those. Thanks for watching and have fun.